listening to Into the Arena, a Hunger Games podcast sparking the fandom one episode at a time, with your hosts, Holly and Emily. Special thanks for music by Sam Cushion.
Welcome back, tributes, to episode 7 of Into the Arena. I'm Holly.
And I'm Emily.
And today's episode is going to be really fun. It's going to be a lot of reminiscing on our midnight memories of different Hunger Games premieres. And before we get into our pregame, I do have an announcement that I'm really excited about. So on March 20th, it's going to be a Saturday, we are actually going to be doing a Hunger Games watch along because, as you all know, the first movie came out March 23rd, 2012. So at 6 p.m. Pacific and I think it's 9 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be doing the watch along, and we will provide more information on our Facebook and our Instagram pages. So make sure you like those and give us a follow. And so, yeah, we are so excited to be watching that with you. You'll get to hear all our fun commentary. So stay tuned for that. And here's some time for our fun little pregame with Emily. So, Emily, go ahead.
Yes. So this week we are going to be doing, I think, my favorite pregame that we've done so far, which is Would You Rather? So we both got a couple of different questions for each other. So we'll see how hard these questions are. I'll just go ahead and start. So, Holly, my first question for you is, would you rather have to sharpen your teeth like an Obaria or get cat whiskers like Tigress?
Oh my gosh. Ew. For both of them. I feel like I would probably sharpen my teeth because then I could hide it easier. I could just smile with my mouth closed, I guess. I feel like that would be kind of scarier, but at the same time, I feel like the cat whiskers could be kind of cute.
Yeah, I feel like it really depends on
the vibe I'm going for, the aesthetic.
The outcome.
I think the whiskers would just make me look really strange, so I would hide my teeth, and then I guess it would make me seem a little more intimidating, so maybe I would do that one.
But Holly, you could get the full cat look to complete the aesthetic.
I'm not a cat person, so that's not even funny. No, it wouldn't work. But I'm curious to know which one you would pick.
Honestly, I don't know. They're both pretty awful. I can't imagine why an Obaria got her teeth sharpened.
Mm-hmm.
What is the appeal? Especially, it didn't help her in the games or anything. It was afterward. But I guess the capital drives you to do ridiculous things to stay relevant. So yeah. I'd probably say the same thing, probably the teeth sharpening, just because you can just close your mouth and hopefully look normal.
Yeah, just wear a mask all the time with COVID, I guess.
Yeah, I don't
see my smile.
I could handle the whiskers, so.
Yeah, a little too in your face. That was fun. Okay, my questions are kind of similar, I guess. The first one is, would you rather be in an alliance in the arena with Finnick and Johanna, or would you rather be in an alliance with Katniss and Peeta? So two opposite ends. I always do this.
Katniss and Peeta?
Really? What?
Wait, in an alliance with them?
Yeah. In one arena, it's two sides. I always do the 1 and 2 sides, you know? So you have to pick. And they're fighting against each other.
I think this kind of goes back to what I was saying when we were choosing between Finnick and Peeta, which I chose Finnick because he's more skilled. But Katniss in this situation is extremely skilled. So I feel totally safe with her. And we get Peeta, who I had said before that I think he'd be less likely to turn on you. And I feel like Finnick and Johanna totally would.
Yeah. Kind of feel like the outsider in the 3, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of weird. You'd feel more like you're third wheeling with the non-couple than the actual couple.
Yeah, I just don't think that they would ever turn on me, and I'd be pretty safe up to a point.
Yeah, okay. I think I would pick Finnick and Johanna. I feel safer with them.
Why?
I mean, like, even though I love Katniss and
You
Peeta,
don't want a third wheel with Katniss.
I'd be like, hey, girl. I think looking at it, I would trust Finnick and Johanna more with my life than I would Katniss and Peeta in terms of skill. I don't know.
But Katniss, though.
Katniss is skilled, but Peeta really brings down the average. You know what I mean?
Okay, but then I don't understand why. Let's go back to Finnick and Peeta. Why would you pick Peeta?
Because I love Peeta and like.
But if Katniss is there, then you don't want to be part of it.
Well, if this is based solely on the last question, I took more as like who I'd want to spend time with too, and this one, it's not all about that. It's about like more about ability. I think when I was forming it, so I definitely trust
Okay.
Finnick and Johanna. Like reading Catching Fire, honestly, when Katniss and Peter are like, we need to split up. I'm like, girl, are you gonna make it against Finnick and Johanna? I don't think so. Like, I really trust the other two.
I just find this so strange that last time when it was between Peeta and Finnick, I picked Finnick, you picked Peeta, but now when we're adding in Katniss and Johanna, we totally flipped.
Yeah, well, I guess that means like, would you pick Katniss or Johanna? Like, it seems like you would pick Katniss more
Oh,
if you're just like the
Katniss. Yeah.
two ladies. Um, I don't know. I think I have to sit on that question because I think they're equally as skilled, honestly.
If they're equally as skilled, though, Katniss would be the better ally, I think.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I think, but Joanna just like doesn't care what's going on, like doesn't give an F at all
Yeah, so
about
she does not
anything.
give an F about you.
Maybe,
That's what's happening.
maybe we'd fall in love. I don't know. I love Johanna, so like,
Okay,
I
so
don't
it's
know.
your two, Peeta and Johanna.
That would be my dream alliance. Okay, get rid of Finnick, get rid of Katniss. Oh, my two loves. But I don't know. I think she's more skilled. Well, now I don't know because I think that Johanna and Katniss are equally skilled, but then I'm kind of like Johanna is older, so maybe she'd be a little bit more skilled than Katniss.
Okay, you can have
This is complicated.
Peeta and Johanna, and I'm taking Finnick and Katniss. I'm gonna be like the dream team.
But I said Peeta won't bring down the average, so we won't be as strong. We're gonna lose
You'll
with
get
Peeta.
Johanna, who is skilled, and then you'll get to spend time with Peeta.
Okay, then I'm
That's
gonna
in both
die with
worlds.
Peeta. But like honestly, I think the best duo, if we could pick from like the four of these, would be Finnick and Katniss, hands down. I think that they would destroy everyone.
I know, that's why I picked them.
Well, that was okay. This took a wild story time about our preferences with like duos and time alone with couples, and I love it. But I just love that that's what that question became. But yes.
Okay.
Okay.
My next question. Would you rather get to watch Catching Fire again, the movie, for the first time,
Ooh.
or get to reread Mockingjay, the book, again for the very first time?
I think watch Catching Fire for the first time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I made this question hard.
Why?
I feel
What would
like
you pick?
I think I would pick reading Mockingjay again for the first time, which is tough. I tried to pick the best movie and the worst book because reading the books is, most people would pick reading the books, I think, because like the books are always better type of thing. But seeing Catching Fire for the first time was amazing, and I would love to see it for the first time again. Like that was an experience for sure. But I think there's just something really special about like reading books for the first time.
Yeah.
So I think even though it's a depressing book, as sad as reading Mockingjay was, I think I would pick having that experience, reading the book again for the first time.
Yeah. See, like when I talked about a month ago, I recently reread Mockingjay. I didn't read it in so long that it was kind of like reading it for the first time, besides like knowing Prim's death, Finnick's death, you know what I mean? But like I had forgotten so much, so I felt like I had that experience. But there's the experience of seeing the beauty that is Catching Fire on screen for the first time. Oh, I would love that. I would like, and especially with COVID right now, I know a lot of movie theaters are doing the rent out a theater for $100 and you can watch whatever movie you want. And so I tried to do that with the Hunger Games, but they only have like a select amount of like movies
Oh,
pre-picked.
what?
Like what I would give to even see Catching Fire in a movie theater, like even if it wasn't the first time. I
I
just want to see
know.
it in a theater again. So I think I'd pick Catching Fire for the first time because that would just be surreal. I loved it. But
Okay, it makes
yeah,
sense. I didn't know which one you were gonna pick. So interesting.
surprising. Okay, and then my last one is, would you rather spend the afternoon with Lucy Gray, just like having fun, hanging out, or would you rather hang out with Madge for the afternoon?
Okay, this is a good one.
Just like chill times in the Hunger Games.
I think Madge and I are more similar, so we'd probably get along pretty easily. But I think it'd be really fun to hang out with Lucy.
Hmm.
She'd just be like so fun and entertaining,
Hmm.
like just like singing songs and I don't know, just laughing, having fun. I feel like I need that opposite energy, like
Hmm.
you, like yourself.
Aw.
So
Aw.
I think I'd pick hanging out with Lucy.
Yeah.
What about you?
Honestly, I didn't answer this one in my head. I think I'd do the opposite. I think I'd pick Madge. I guess kind of for the same reasons. I think she would be very relaxed to hang out with. I would feel comfortable with her a lot just because she always seems so kind and sweet to Katniss, who was a big introvert, and I'm like a really big introvert, so I feel like she would be very sweet to hang out with. We'd pick strawberries with Gail maybe. I don't know. But yeah,
Cute.
yes.
I just
Yeah.
want to hang out in the hob and I don't know, sing silly songs and stuff.
Go to a concert.
Yeah, it
Oh,
sounds great.
love it. Awesome. I guess we're going to move on to a really relaxed episode this week. We're going to be just reminiscing and reflecting on our favorite memories with seeing the movies. So, yeah, I had a very relaxed time in my local hometown, the Burbs, you know. Um, but yeah, Emily is going to sprinkle some fun, more exciting stories in here, I'm sure.
I'll try. I'll do
Okay.
my best.
But even I just want to start talking about your cosplay of Effie because
Okay.
that was a big deal. What I know from it, it was you just like in your hometown. Is that right? Like just going to your local theater, or what's the story behind
Yeah.
that?
I was trying to remember like why I even thought to do the cosplay.
Hmm.
Um Honestly, I think a lot of it is I think my sister looked a lot like Katniss. And
Oh.
like I didn't really want to dress up like Katniss because blonde hair and I just didn't feel like I looked like her. And I was like, Laura, you're a perfect like Katniss. Like you've got to dress up as her. And
Oh.
then with Banks, when she said she really wanted to be in the movies, she was like, well, Effie's the only character I can be. Like I don't look like anybody else. And I want to be in the movies. And I feel like that's kind of why I cosplayed as her too, except for maybe Madge. I was like, I don't look like anyone in the stories except I could, put on the full like costume and look like Effie.
Hmm.
And I feel like she's just such a fun, colorful character. And once I saw the costumes in the first trailer, I was like, oh my gosh, that just looks so fun.
Hmm.
So yeah, I guess the whole idea was just to dress up to go to the first movie. I didn't really think that I would ever be wearing that costume again anywhere else.
So
Like
cool.
little did I know that I'd to this day still be putting on that outfit. But yeah, I had a lot of fun just going to thrift stores and stuff, looking for a dress that would work because my Effie cosplay is not, I wasn't like a hardcore cosplayer. I just wanted an Effie like inspired look.
Hmm.
And so I found this I was looking for dresses for forever at like Goodwill and like different thrift stores. And then when I saw that hot pink 80s short kind of like prom dress.
Mhm.
It was so perfect. It was a magical moment. And I
Oh,
put it on and I just became Effie.
that's so
Um,
cool.
and so then it was just adding all the different, pieces, like getting a wig, and my mom helped me out with the flowers and making it look a little bit more like the actual costume.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was super
So
fun.
cool. What did people like say to you? Did they approach you when you went to the theater or?
We can start like with the day of like the midnight movie.
Mhm.
So I got to the theater at 8:30 in the morning.
Oh
I
my
was
gosh.
so ready. I'm like, if you don't wait 16 hours for the movie, why even go to the midnight premiere? It's about the whole day
Amen.
wait experience.
Mhm.
The anticipation that just grows throughout the day. That's why I love
Mhm.
midnight movies. So I was there first. The mall was like all dark. The movie theater still had the barricades, down, and I just sat right there in front. I think somebody first showed up like an hour or an hour and a half after me. And then as more people showed up, people did like come up to me and they wanted pictures, and
Mhm.
that was super fun. I didn't really expect that. I'd been to like the Twilight midnight movies, but I didn't ever dress up or anything like that, and I definitely wasn't first in line. It wasn't that serious.
Mhm.
Um, and there weren't a lot of other people dressed up either, for at least at my theater. There were some Katniss inspired looks, but and people wearing t-shirts obviously, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So there were definitely people coming up to me and wanting photos, which I thought was so funny.
That's so exciting though.
What about you? I mean, did you go to the first movie actually at midnight?
Yeah. So my story is kind of weird. Like I never went to any big premiere because I was pretty much between the ages of like 12 and 15 when the
Yeah.
movies came out. So I was a little girl, but um I Hunger Games is my first biggest obsession and to this day the biggest like fandom I've ever been a part of. And so I don't know when the movie was first announced, like the date that it was coming out, but I was really upset because, and I'm gonna sound like a total brat, so everyone can say I'm a brat, but we would always go on a spring break trip, my family, and it just so
Mm.
happened that Hunger Games fell like on the day that we were leaving, and I was like, can we please push our plane like leaving date till like at least a few hours later? I just want to go see the Hunger Games so bad because I think we were leaving that Thursday, so there's no way that I could even go to like the midnight showing. And I was such a diva. I cried about it for days. My parents hated me because they're like, "You're so spoiled. You're getting to go on this trip. Like, you can see the Hunger Games and you come back." They wouldn't even let me see it like on the vacation because I was so obsessed. They're like, "We need a week where you don't talk about it." And I was like, "No, how can you do this to me? I need to at least see it and then just be at peace with seeing it." And so at the time, I had a friend whose parent had some sort of connection to like Lionsgate or something at the time. I don't know. And so there was this early Wednesday night premiere in like, I'm from like the burbs of Denver. So in Denver. And it was kind of like a little press release for like the Denver Post sort of thing. And my friend's mom called my mom because everyone at school knew how sad I was. And so she was like, does Holly want to go on Wednesday night, which is like the night before I left? And when my mom told me that, I just like broke down crying. I was like, I'm gonna go see the Hunger Games. Oh my God. So um yeah, we got to the theater and like I just pulled this out from my Hunger Games binder. It was like my little reserve seating. It was CenturyLink, that's who they worked for, but yeah, so it was a little seat was reserved for me. I've held on to this paper for years.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
but it was really cool. We got like a little Mockingjay pin. Like it was a low key like Denver thing. Like I was just so excited to see it. And I remember just crying the whole time. And then for the week after, when we went on vacation, we were staying in this like Airbnb sort of thing. And we had speakers in our house, like the whole house just had like a Bluetooth audio thing. And I just played the Hunger Games soundtrack the whole week. So my parents will refuse to listen to that soundtrack ever again because they just wanted a break from me and the Hunger Games for a week. And because I was so hyped about the movie, I like begged them to go see it throughout the week. They're like, no, you can't do this. This is too much. But that was my first memory. It was very casual, but I will forever be grateful to that friend and her mom for giving me the hookup and taking me a night early.
That's awesome. No, I would be devastated if I wasn't able to see it like early or like at the midnight showing and had
Yeah,
to wait. That would have been so sad
for
for
a
me,
week. Like,
it being spring break, because I was a freshman in college.
mhm,
So it was perfect for me that it was during spring break. I was so thankful for that because I got to go back home because I went to college in a different city.
mhm,
I got to go back home and not have school and then be with my sister, and we got to go to it together.
mhm,
It was so funny because like everybody else in college was, especially as a freshman, like on
mhm,
their first spring break, like going somewhere, like traveling. Like my church was doing like a trip together, and I was
mhm.
just like, no, I have a hot date with the Hunger Games.
It's so funny because it was like a one night thing too, but it's like it screwed up the rest of my spring break plans. It screwed up everyone's like this is a whole week thing. It's not a one night premiere, it's a week premiere because I know if I were at home I would be seeing it like every other day, which I did do with the other movies.
Yeah, but for me there was like such a lead up to it as
Mhm.
well because I was working on my costume and
Mhm.
the actual like LA premiere. I was helping like cover that online. I wasn't actually there, but there
Mhm.
was just so much going on leading up to it. Just
Yeah.
it was great.
It felt
So
like
then
Christmas.
you weren't there with fans really.
No, because I would say it would be like mostly press, like local press, and then just lucky families who got to go early to see it. So it wasn't as big of a deal. Like when I went to Mockingjay, yeah, Mockingjay Part One and Mockingjay Part Two, it was more of like my local theater, seeing it with friends and seeing it with big fans. We all brought our Hunger Games blankets and stuff. So that was more like with fans and the better experience. But yeah, so it was a lot more low key. It was just me crying in the back. So it's like one of those like, what is it? An Inside Out, the key memories or whatever. That's like one of my main
Oh
memories.
yeah, like a core memory.
Yeah, a core memories. Hearing the opening music start and then Seneca Crane comes on screen and I'm just like, oh my god.
There it is. I think for me, that moment, I definitely had a moment when I was watching The Hunger Games for the first time in the theater where it hit me.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh, I'm really watching this. And it's after Katniss gets reaped and she's standing on the stage and there's that red flag behind her and there's that cool shot that's kind of like looking up towards her and it's
Hmm.
kind of like shaky cam a little bit and I don't know, it's something about that shot every time I see it I just go, ah, the Hunger Games, like I love
Yeah.
it.
I think that's something special too is I mean, I've seen the movie so many times, but I can always go back into my mind and think about the emotions I felt and the nostalgia of that night seeing it because I mean, I don't have those memories with the later movies, but I think that was just because it was the first movie and like you said there was so much hype
Hmm.
behind it because we had never experienced it on screen. And so just like the opening score is just oh, it makes me think of being at the theater and like crying the whole time. And then for
I
some
know.
reason like I remember Prim's death or Rue's death as one of the like scenes where I was like, you're watching this right now. Like it's on
Mhm.
screen.
Like it's no longer mainstay pro, it's
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah. So yeah, that was just a really surreal moment for me, even though it just ended up being casual and now I watch it on Freeform every other weekend. So
I also had a pretty cool moment at the first waiting in line for the first movie where the news came and some
what?
lady was on the news being like, look at all the people out for the Hunger Games, and they had to interview somebody And of course, they saw me like dressed up as Effie,
That's
sitting
so
right there
cool.
in the very front of the line in front of everybody waiting for theater number one. So they came over to me and asked me a couple of questions. I have no idea what I said. I
Oh,
have not been able, I know it was terrible
I
because
want to
I was
see
just
this.
nervous. I want to see it too. My grandma had recorded it, like DVR'd it because it aired later. And we told her and we're like, oh, record it and make sure you watch it on the news later.
Mm-hmm.
But I think her television ended up like eating it. So
No, the
I
lost
saw it.
tapes.
Yeah, I saw it once and cringed, and I should have recorded it or something. But I
Call
think
your
they just
local
asked
news
me.
station.
Yeah, that's what I need to do. I need to send them an email, but I think I've kind of hesitated because I don't know if I want to see it.
Oh, come on. It would be so cool.
I think they asked me, you know, just like why I was dressed up and why I thought so many people were there, and I don't know what I said, but I'm sure
Oh,
it was cringe.
that's so cool though. I really want you to find this memory because I feel like it's
Okay.
enough time has passed that it's like it's cringeworthy,
It's
but
just cute now,
it's
maybe.
cute. Yeah, you're reflecting on it's like, oh, look at these memories, you
I
know?
remember I was talking to the lady and she, or maybe it was a dude. Actually, I think it was a guy. And he was like, "Don't look at the camera." Like that's how bad I was.
You're like staring straight. That's so funny. Well, that's cool. See, these are like really fun local experiences that not a lot of people get to have. I didn't have them, so that's awesome.
There definitely is footage of me. We were the first into the theater and we ran in with a couple friends that we let cut in the line, which I know is a terrible thing, but hey, I was there at 8:30, so I let
Yeah.
two people in the front with me.
Mhm.
And me and my sister Laura just scream when we get into the theater,
Oh
and
my
we have
God.
it on video, and it's really embarrassing.
Wait, I want you to edit it in so bad. Like, I want this to be a part of it. Just seeing you just as Effie and her just as Katniss, just like screaming, running into a theater. I feel like it totally would be a Hunger Games fan experience.
Okay, I'll send it to you, and we'll see what you think.
Maybe
I'll
it'll
definitely.
make this.
I'm gonna post it on TikTok. So if you're not
Okay,
following us on TikTok at Into the Arena Podcast, it'll be there.
check it out. It's gonna be worth it. Just seeing you screaming, running into a theater. I love that.
So let's talk about Catching Fire. Did you go to the midnight
Um,
showing for that?
I didn't, but Catching Fire has like one of the most meaningful experience of probably my whole life in general
Hmm.
because so my birthday is November 23rd and Catching Fire came out the 22nd of November. And so here's the thing. My mom is my best friend, but my mom and I have completely opposite personalities, interests. Like you could not get her to read the Hunger Games if you paid her like $1 million sort of thing. And so I was really bummed I didn't go to the midnight premiere. I don't know why I didn't end up doing that, but I think I had plans to see it with friends later that week. And so it was the morning of my birthday, and Catching Fire came out the night before. And my mom was like, let's go get lunch. And I was like, okay, fine, let's go get lunch. And then we just kept driving closer and closer to my local theater. And I was like, wait, what's happening? And she's like, well, here you go. And she gave me tickets. And the fact that she just, like I said, she has no interest in the Hunger Games, probably despises it deep down. And I just started crying in the car. I'm like, I can't believe you're going with me. Like, this is so meaningful.
Oh my gosh.
And so it wasn't like a midnight experience, obviously, it was like in the afternoon on my birthday, but I just like remember the happiness of like spending that time with her and like even though she was probably like, what's going on? Just having that experience with my mom and then seeing it with friends later, but I didn't see it that night, but it's something that I'll always remember and like love her for. So I'm just like Catching Fire.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a story about my mom that's totally the opposite
Okay,
which
what?
I'm very regretful about.
Oh no! Oh my gosh.
So my mom, of course, I did the Effie costume again, and my sister Laura did dress up as Katniss. We tried to do it a little bit better. I think the costume is a little bit more accurate, and my mom helped me so much, like with like sewing the costume and everything. It's like the blue one with the feathers on the
Oh,
arms.
whoa.
And we found like the perfect material for that. It's like the exact same thing.
That's
Actually, you know
awesome.
what? I think it's the same material that was used for the Barbie doll.
What?
Yeah, and we found it like at a fabric store,
Oh my
and
gosh.
it was just perfect. It's like
Uh-huh.
exactly matches.
Mm-hmm.
But she helped me with the costume. Me and my sister, I got tickets for the both of us for the double feature at midnight. So seeing Hunger Games and Catching Fire in IMAX.
So cool.
If there's anything, you talked earlier about wanting to see Catching Fire for the first time, I would give anything to see Catching Fire in IMAX again. That was so good. Did you see it in IMAX?
No, I've
Oh
not
my
seen any of
gosh.
the movies in IMAX.
Because that
Yeah.
one was made for IMAX. I saw the Hunger
Mhm.
Games in IMAX, and then I saw the double feature, Hunger
Mhm.
Games and Catching Fire in IMAX, which Shaky Cam in IMAX I would not recommend. So,
Yeah.
but Catching Fire was amazing because it was made for it. My mom came at the beginning of the day, like at 8:30 or 9 in the morning, waited all day with us, and
Aw.
I didn't get her a ticket to see the movie, so she just went home.
Oh my god.
I just got a ticket for me and my sister because the ticket was like almost $30, and like I was a poor college student, so
Mhm.
she didn't come, and
Oh
I
my
felt very
god.
bad. So you have a beautiful story about seeing Catching Fire with your mom, and I have a terrible story about being a terrible daughter and not inviting her.
Wait, so at what point did you tell her, like, you're not seeing it? Did she know the whole time?
No, she knew. That's the
Okay,
worst part.
okay.
She knew the whole time, and yet she
Aw.
still hung out all day.
That's why moms are the best. Our moms, just amazing. But oh, that's so sad. That's
And
so sad.
so I don't know. I mean, you know this, and I'm sure I've posted this on Instagram, but the picture that I took of me and my sister in my cosplay from the first movie was in People magazine for
Yeah.
the Catching Fire special edition that came out right before the movie Catching
Okay.
Fire.
I need to
And
look at that because I have a copy of that. So I'm gonna look after this and I want to send a picture.
I have like 10 copies of it.
Yeah, makes sense.
And my mom photocopied the page of the magazine, put it in like one of those clear like slip cases, and was walking around showing people waiting in line for Catching Fire, saying, "This is my daughter. She's in People magazine. How cool is this?"
Emily's mom, you are an angel. What? That is so
I
cute.
know.
So
I was
proud.
like, at the time, I was just like, "Mom, like, stop."
But now you're like, Mom, I love you forever.
I mean, that was like such a proud moment for her too, because she like helped with the
Aw.
costume, you know, and
Mhm.
it was so cool.
See, that
So,
makes up for the ticket. Like, it's just a wholesome moment. That's so sweet.
I mean, I did go with her again later.
Mhm.
It was like $5 for a
There you go.
matinee, but
There you go. Honestly, moms and catching fire. That's what this comes down to. Oh, that's
Catching Fire was
good.
great.
I remember what part seeing like their victory tour is something that is another core memory of mine. I don't know why watching the victory tour scene stuck out to me, but I think that's when I just realized how excited I was for Catching Fire. Um,
Hmm.
and just like watching that whole movie, I was just like so excited for what was to come. Like what I get to see on this screen in the next 90 minutes. I can't wait. So,
It's the tour music.
yeah, it's so good.
That's the track that I of the score that I listen to the most.
Mhm.
The
Makes sense.
tour. Yeah, seeing them in the different districts. Also, like Jennifer as Katniss just looks so beautiful. Like the
Mhm.
outfits that everyone was wearing.
Yes.
And Peeta just looked so good.
Uh,
Everything about Catching Fire is just so visually beautiful.
I know. I kind of wish that they could remake Hunger Games like I love the movie,
know.
but make it more like Catching Fire visually, because that would just be like just have both of them, just one for one mood, one for the other. But I felt like it was such a big leap comparing the two films. I mean, obviously different directors and different budgets and everything, but I don't know, just seeing
Different
Katniss,
camera equipment.
yeah.
I hated that was definitely the thing when I left the theater for the Hunger Games. I was so mad about the shaky cam. It was such a huge controversy. I mean, what
Yeah.
did you think about it?
I mean, like, I didn't hate it, but I remember reading about people being sick, like throwing up and like getting really nauseous because of it at theaters. And I was like, that wasn't me, but I didn't love it. I guess it was fine. The only part I liked it was at the very beginning of the games, just like when you're watching like Kato and like all the careers in the cornucopia. But any other time, I was like anti shaky cam. I thought like it kind of made sense at the beginning because there's so much chaos and it represents like everything going on around everyone. But other than that one scene, I just didn't like it.
See, I feel like it's kind of opposite because, well, I think Gary Ross said that gave just reasons for why the shaky cam was put in there, a stylistic choice. But
Hmm.
I think it was mainly put in there for the arena to keep the movie PG-13. So if there's all the shaky cam, then you don't see the violence as much, you don't see the blood. And then they just had to continue it on for the rest of the movie. And so I feel like it's in the first half of the movie for no reason.
Yeah. See, that's just like I said, the one scene that I liked it in, but then and then I guess like seeing Katniss run through the arena, run into Fox face, like that moment from the cornucopia, the start of the games to that point, it makes sense to me because I mean, just like being in Katniss's perspective and having all this chaotic energy around you and just like violence and be like, whoa, it's completely a new experience.
Yeah, jarring.
Yeah, but like I agree. I don't think it was like necessary, but then I guess it would have made it look pretty awkward if it was just that one shot. So, I don't know. But I wasn't like throwing up at the theater. People were and I was like, "Who are
I know.
you?"
People definitely said they were kind of sick. But I will say it was probably people that saw it in IMAX because
Okay.
on the IMAX screen, it was just overwhelming.
Really?
Yeah. Which probably made me hate it
Mhm.
even more. It was such a bad choice, I think.
Yeah. See, now I want to experience that because I hadn't seen it on IMAX and now I'm curious because
And then you go to Catching Fire and there's no shaky cam. You are able to just see everything
mhm.
and it's wonderful. I think
Yeah.
that was frustrating too with the shaky cam. It's like you read these books and the reason that you want to see it as a film is because you want to see everything. And
Yeah.
then to have that obstructed by that visual choice, I just didn't like it.
Makes sense. If you're seeing it in IMAX, you're definitely gonna throw up and leave.
They should.
No
Okay,
popcorn.
next year will be the like 10-year anniversary of the film. I really
Mhm.
hope they re-release it into the theaters. It'd be great if they did it in IMAX because I just want the
Yeah.
experience again, even though it made me sick.
Yeah, I hope they do that because I'll pay money to do that. So
Good money.
everyone say that you're gonna pay money and then they'll make it happen. So
Do you
I
remember going back to the Hunger Games, seeing the Breaking Dawn Part 2 trailer
yes. Yes,
before
yes,
the
yes,
Hunger
yes, yes,
Games?
yes.
I remember being okay, so this was in my phase where I wasn't so into the Twilight movies. I mean, like in my heart, I really was, but like
Mhm.
nobody around me was. And it just like wasn't a fandom that I was like really a part of.
Mhm.
But I remember being so excited on the inside that I got to see that before the Hunger Games when I knew
Mhm.
everybody else. I was kind of confused why they were playing it because I knew so many people didn't like it, but it was the same demographic. So I thought it was super cool seeing Breaking Dawn before the Hunger Games. It was
That
great.
was just a fun time, honestly, because just bridging the two fandoms together, that was honestly like where I peaked, I think. I think it's all been downhill since then because I mean, I didn't just go to like Hunger Games premieres or midnight premieres. I went to like the Breaking Dawn, the last two premieres, and then I mean, I went to so many YA ones after that, like Divergent, The Fault in Our Stars, Maze Runner, like all that stuff. So it was just like the best time. What I would give to feel that adrenaline again.
All at midnight? You went to like the midnight movies for all those?
Yeah, like
Wow.
Hunger Games and Twilight were the two that got me into like reading. And so from then on, I was just like a YA stan. Like I have all these awkward photos of me, like dressing up as Tris Pryor and going to the Divergent premiere. And I met some actors from that one. That one was a lot cooler than my Hunger Games story. And doing like book photo shoots before the premieres.
Oh,
It's so
cool.
cringe.
I only went to the midnight movies of Hunger Games, Twilight, not the first Twilight, New Moon, and the rest of them, and one Harry Potter movie.
I don't love Harry Potter, and so that fandom to me, I feel like everyone knows every little detail. And so for me, I would just be in the back, like, I'm just here to watch, and everyone would hate me for it. I feel like they would say I'm taking up the seat of a real fan or something.
I only went to one Harry Potter midnight movie, and that was the sixth one, The Half-Blood Prince, and that was my very first midnight movie. So that was a cool
That's
experience.
intense. Yeah.
What was your first midnight movie that you went to?
It would have been Breaking Dawn Part 2. Or did that come out? No, that came out after. Yeah. So because I didn't get to go to the Hunger Games, so then Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
2012 was the first year.
Yeah, little me. What I would give to be a little bit older during all of this.
Yeah, so you could have gone to like all the Twilight
That's what
midnight movies.
that's why I keep talking about Ballad. Even though I don't love Ballad, I'm so excited to go to the movie because I'm gonna travel to
Just
wherever
gonna
it is.
live your best fangirl life.
Exactly. 12-year-old Holly is just gonna be crying, you know.
And 20 whatever year old.
Exactly. We'll just join together and have the best night ever. Did you do anything crazy for Mockingjay?
Well,
Just hanging out.
I mean, I went to the actual premieres for
Oh.
Mockingjay Part 1 and Mockingjay Part 2.
Just casual.
I was in London at the time
Oh my god.
for Mockingjay Part 1, and I was super excited to be in a major city where premieres happen, whereas because I'm from Phoenix and LA is pretty far, so I don't think I would have traveled to go to it, except for the fact that I was in London and I was studying abroad there. And then they announced a couple months before that not only was there going to be a premiere in London, but it was going to be the first premiere. It was going to be the world premiere, which is a lot of times in other places in the US a lot of the time. So that was a really cool experience. I didn't have any friends there to go with. I just went by myself and decided that I was going to sleep outside, get a sleeping bag and wait in line for a couple of nights before the premiere so that I could be at the barricade spot and try and get some pictures and autographs from the actors. So that was a really cool experience. I ended up being like the 17th person, I think.
Oh my gosh.
So I didn't really end up getting the best spot just because I didn't know exactly where to, I'd never been to a premiere before, so I didn't know where to go exactly. But I got a lot of signatures and it was a lot of waiting, a lot of feeling like I had to go to the bathroom actually.
Yeah, so like logistically, you went by yourself.
I went by myself. I showed up. I'm trying to remember how I did all of this because I just went in knowing nothing. I went to a store, bought a sleeping bag that morning, showed up at the square, Leicester Square, where it was supposed to be happening. There was a couple people there already, and I just kind of asked them, is this the right spot? Clearly people who were there and did it all the time. And it was actually kind of chaos when people started showing up. There weren't good logistics figured out, so we ended up writing numbers on our hands of what order we had gotten there.
Mhm.
And then we got wristbands at some point, and then they kept moving where we were. And I just remember sleeping outside that night and that being
Oh,
like the coldest I've ever been in my entire life. I
feeling
didn't
like
get good sleep
Katniss.
that night. It was in this square where there were a lot of like bars too, like around. And so I just remember like 3 in the morning, like hearing noises, and it was such a surreal, strange experience. And then I didn't know the people that I was like hugging for body warmth like
Uh-huh.
next to me. I mean,
I love that.
it was crazy. All for the Hunger Games, you know?
You're living like Katniss in the arena pretty much just to see it and experience that.
And then we just waited all day the next day. They started setting up, and that's when it started to get exciting because they started putting up on the big screen. They were playing the trailer. They put up
So cool.
Hunger Games posters. They started setting up the barricades, and then they finally let us in. And we're just scrambling to choose our spot. I didn't choose the best one, but it ended up being fine. I would do better next time.
See, this is
Um,
why you and I are gonna go see Ballad together no matter what you say. Like,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
coming
and
with
I've
me.
been to LA as well, probably the same place, hopefully, where they'll have the premiere. So I have a pretty good idea
Mhm.
of that.
So
Um,
you'll be mom in charge.
Although I will say, for Mockingjay Part 2, it was a much better experience barricade wise because we were invited to the premiere because we worked for a Hunger Games fan website. So they actually had a spot that was specifically for us, and it was a great spot. It was We had a perfect view of the actors coming and standing by the photographers and like getting screamed at and taking their photos. And then as soon as they were done taking their photos, they started coming down the line to the fans, and we were the first people right
Oh
there.
my god.
So
Oh, that's so cool. What I would
it
give
was
to like
great.
see inside your mind during that time, to like watch a point of view from Emily during that.
It was beautiful.
That's
Just
so
seeing
cool.
them like posing and like their outfits that they were wearing to the premiere and all the different like angles that they did for
Oh
pictures and people screaming their names.
oh,
It was great with the carpet that said Mockingjay Part 2 on the ground.
so cool. And so who did you get to talk to? I know you talked to Suzanne.
I talked to Suzanne.
Oh, and you
I
have a
was
photo
probably
with Liam.
with Liam, yeah, but I'm surprised at that photo. A lot of my pictures were really blurry because I was using a regular camera and
Mhm,
I didn't have a good like smartphone at the time. So
mhm,
other people were just, snapping selfies, which would have been the good thing to do, but
mhm.
it was freezing cold that night. I'm glad I didn't have to sleep outside because it was freezing. It was so windy. So I had my camera and my hand was just like shaking while I was trying to
Oh.
take pictures. So 99% of the photos that I took with people are really blurry, but thankfully two came out really good. Liam Hemsworth
Gil.
and Suzanne Collins.
Wow.
So Suzanne Collins is really the only photo that I cared about, but
Mhm.
um seeing Jeffrey Wright was pretty cool. Who else? I mean, sadly, not Elizabeth Banks, neither premiere. Sam Claflin, not at either premiere. But he was so sweet. He would always like blow kisses to like everybody and be like, "I love you. You're so great." Like he still like paid attention to everyone, even if he couldn't
Mhm.
get to every section of the fans. He's
Aw.
amazing.
Oh, I'm so glad he's our Finnick and not Army Hammer. I've been thinking about that one recently.
I didn't get to see the movie for Mockingjay Part 1 though. That was just being at the premiere and getting autographs and everything. And I didn't go to the midnight premiere either. I didn't really know how that worked in London. I was by myself and like just too scared
I
to
mean,
go alone.
you already went on a big adventure going to that
I was
premiere by
too
yourself.
scared to go to an actual movie theater at midnight by myself, but I went to Leicester Square and like slept outside all night.
Like with random people in a foreign city.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me.
You did enough adventuring, you know? And now you can just watch it whenever. But that's a once in a lifetime experience, I'm sure.
And it's okay because Mockingjay Part 1 is not the best movie. So I
Yeah.
just saw that when I saw it. Mockingjay Part 2, when we were invited to the premiere, I actually got to see it in the theater.
With all
Giant
those famous
theater.
people?
Yeah, they came out onto the stage
Oh my
at the
God.
beginning and introduced them. I mean, it was a huge theater.
Uh-huh.
Thousands of people were in that theater.
Mhm.
And the screen was so big. And we were actually, this is the first time I'm seeing Mockingjay Part 2, you know, the final. And the screen was huge, and we were in probably the worst seats in the entire theater. So we were like all the way at the front and on the side.
Oh.
So everyone's face was distorted. Like that's how big the theater was and how bad the screen angle was. So it was a terrible, I would say, first viewing of Mockingjay Part 2. So I'm kind of sad that I don't think I got all of the emotions really the first time, but I was still pretty happy to be seeing it early.
That's cool. Yeah, I didn't really think about like where they would sit everyone and that
Yeah,
process.
we were not important.
Oh my gosh.
So,
You guys and Jennifer Lawrence. I don't know. I think it's you guys.
yeah, I
But
don't even know where they were sitting. I mean, somewhere in the front, and I'm sure some of them probably watched it because it was the LA premiere, but it wasn't the world premiere. So I think they'd seen it all the first time. So I don't think they stayed.
yeah. Yeah, that's something I think about is as an actor. I think we talked about this one time, just seeing yourself on screen. That's why I don't know, I'd never want to do a role that I was obsessed with. Like, say I was an actress and I was cast as Katniss. I don't know if I'd want to do that because then it would ruin the series for me. Like, I want to enjoy it and watch what I love, you know? So I'm sure it would be uncomfortable watching myself on screen all the time.
I would just want to be in a role that's just any role that's small. So I don't like ruin the film.
Oh my God.
But I can still like be in it, you know?
You can be like Stephanie Meyer's cameo in Twilight, just like type it on her computer.
But also I feel like if you're someone, this is why I want to be Effie, because if you're a character that's so unlike yourself and so dressed up differently, like I feel like you wouldn't recognize yourself as much and it'd be easier to swallow watching
Yeah.
yourself in the film.
That makes sense for sure. Yeah. My Mockingjay premiere memories are very different. Mine were just like local theaters. So I don't know if your theaters were the same at the time, but it was around the like 2011, 2012 that like AMC and Regal started doing the select your seats beforehand, and they wouldn't do like midnight premieres. They'd do like the 7 would be like the first showing, you know,
A
which
lot of changes.
I really hated that. And it was like around the time of like Harry Potter, Twilight, into Hunger Games, like those big 3 series, you know. And so I think for Mockingjay, yeah, both Mockingjays, it was just me and some friends. We would like do our eye makeup kind of like Katniss's, like crazy stuff. I always wore like my Katniss, my PETA shirts. I wore all the time. Braided my hair. Like I never did a cosplay, and I kind of want to do cosplay, but I'm so glad like 12-year-old me didn't do it because I would have been
We should
gross.
do cosplay for Ballad.
Yeah, we should. I'm so down for that.
I have no idea who I would do, but
I don't either. I don't know who I'd do. I'd be Snow.
because the Capitol wasn't, you know, crazy in terms of fashion and all that at that point. So I'll have to think about it.
You could do Lucy and then have the rainbow dress.
See, I feel like you should be Lucy.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But we could always do Tigress, and you could get the whiskers going early, you know? Loop it back to Would You Rather? But I'm just so glad looking back at my Hunger Games premiere pictures, I didn't like cosplay because it would have been gross for me because I was just at such an awkward age.
I covered myself in Effie makeup and a wig, and
But
it
you
was
look
fine.
good. Like you looked like Effie.
Thank you.
I took some pictures I might send to like add into this so people can cringe at me. But just like the awkward look of like me in my PETA shirt and like the weird poses I would be like hand on the hip, like kind of thing. I have so many, and then just like pictures of me and my friends in the reclining seats that the AMC had just put in because those were brand new as well. And with our PETA blankets, because I always brought like my PETA blanket to every premiere. Um, but I don't remember too much from Mockingjay Part 1 or Mockingjay Part 2, honestly. I remember more from the earlier films, which is kind of strange.
I remember they had some cool standee stuff
Mhm.
at the theaters. They had at my theater a cool, you know, that marketing poster where Katniss is in the red suit and she's sitting in the chair,
Yeah.
and they had the white chair there at the theater, and you could like sit in it and take a picture with Katniss.
Uh-huh.
That was a fun photo. Actually, the Hunger Games retweeted my photo of that.
There we
So
go. That needs to be included in this too.
okay, I'll put
We'll
it
just
in.
include a bunch of cringy photos of us going to the premieres.
Definitely watch the YouTube version of this episode.
Yes, just check it out. Um, but yeah, I don't know why I don't remember too much. I just remember waiting in line with my friends. We'd always be the first ones, but again, it wasn't like you would pre-select your seats at that point too, because that's what they were testing out in the theaters. So it's like,
Which makes it no fun. There's
yeah,
no reason to be first in line other than, I guess, the
exactly.
principle of being first.
So we would do that, but it was just again like it would be fun to meet other fans and like talk to them because you knew that they were like as serious
Yeah,
as you were.
it totally takes away that all day. That's why I would get there at like 8:30 in the morning, that all day build up in anticipation of seeing all of the fans coming out and waiting and being so excited,
Mhm.
wanting to talk about it.
And just like
It's just really
nervous
sad.
because you don't know where you're gonna sit too. Like you said, you ran into the theater screaming, like, where's
We
my seat
had
gonna
wait,
be?
where is your preferred seat in the
My
theater?
preferred seat, I like to sit, I feel like I haven't been to a theater in so long because of COVID.
I know.
Um, I like to sit, okay, like AMC has like the rows, like the letters and the numbers. I'm like a G or an H type of gal, like in the middle, like smack in the middle, I guess.
I'm a middle person, middle of the top, middle section.
Exactly.
To get that middle spot,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're in a theater where every other row reclines and you want the reclining row and you want to be in the middle of the top
Mm-hmm.
section, you got to be one of the first to the theater.
Exactly. And so, yeah, that was just, I remember that being so weird because I think with the Breaking Dawn films, they hadn't really done that. Wait, I'm getting my timelines mixed up. Breaking Dawn came after Hunger Games.
Yeah, the last Twilight movie was the same year as the first Hunger Games movie.
Okay. Because yeah, 2012, a great year.
Great year.
The best year. But because Hunger Games was like when the theaters hadn't really set up that select seating. It was by Catching Fire that at least where I lived
Yeah,
was
I
like
was gonna say I remember it being Catching Fire, where
mhm,
things in 2013 where things started changing and they didn't do. You could see the movie at like 8 or 9 o'clock at night as well, and choose your seats in some of the theaters. Which for me it didn't really matter because I was seeing the double feature of The Hunger Games and Catching Fire. We didn't
mhm.
have choose your seats, so everybody was still there and waiting in line all day. But we got to see, start the movie earlier because we were seeing two movies.
Yeah.
So it didn't really hit me until really Mockingjay Part 2, because Mockingjay Part 1, I was in London, that whole thing happened, so I didn't even try to see a midnight movie. And then Mockingjay Part 2, it was totally different. The world had changed.
Yeah. I just want to experience another adrenaline rush of waiting in line and like running inside and having that experience. Because again, like you said, you meet people, it's just the excitement, the anticipation. You don't know where you're going to be. And there's like an incentive for getting there early. So,
I know.
Let's
Days
make it
gone
happen
by.
for Ballad, please. Get rid of the reserved seating for the first
Well,
night of
see, the
Ballad.
thing is, even if there's another huge movie, who knows what the next big thing is going to be that's a franchise that's YA like this.
Mhm.
But the new system's already in place, so I don't think there's any reason that we'll be able to
Yeah.
go back to that midnight showing.
The only thing kind of like that would be like Comic-Con, honestly, or just like sitting out waiting at the premiere. So
Right, going to the actual premiere, which we're doing.
we're doing. It's happening. That is
So
number one on my bucket list.
that's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait. Whenever that is, because we're still not getting any information. Are there any last things? Because I feel like that conversation can lead us into next week's conversation.
Oh, tell us, what is next week's conversation?
Finally, we are going to be doing a Ballad debrief. It's
Yes.
been, I mean, I've read it, but I need to talk to someone about it because I haven't talked to anyone about it, not even Emily. Like we've talked about little things, but I'm just excited to get it all out there. So next week's going to be really exciting. It is going to have spoilers in it though. So if you haven't read Ballad, maybe start reading it or just come back
skip
to the
next week's
episode.
or
Yeah.
episode.
Because it's going to be lots of spoilers and I'm finally excited to be able to talk freely about it. So
I don't think I'm going to do too much research. I think I'm gonna just come with what I remember and my feelings about it, because I feel like we had a lot of different opinions, just how we've barely scratched the surface on it so far.
definitely. So, and in the meantime, keep up with all our content. We have a lot going on throughout the weeks. We're starting to do lives, which are really fun on Instagram. So follow our Instagram, check us out on Facebook. We have a page there now, and we have a TikTok that is super fun and hates on Gail all the time. So can't forget Gail Hate Club every episode. But follow us at Into the Arena Podcast. And yeah, I can't wait to talk to you guys next week. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.